Thank you for joining us today on Property Talk from Louise's Lounge. My name's Louise Heatley and I'm Managing Director of Exclusive Links Real Estate. With over 16 years experience in the real estate market, I know a few things and I know a few people. And through the series of podcasts, we are going to bring you some insights into the real estate market, some interesting topics, some guest attendees, and it's also an opportunity for you to meet some of the team. Our guest today has been in Dubai for 15 years and has worked in several industries, all related to the real estate market, working closely with the government and aiding property sales with title exchange and smooth and unbiased transactions. I'd like to welcome Tristan, the Director of Domain Conveyancing, the largest independent conveyancing company in the Middle East. So thank you for joining us today, Tristan, and
Pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about your company and the services that you do.
So Domain Conveyancing is predominantly a conveyancing company. I started the company in 2018. I've been in the industry for over 10 years now, 15 years I think it is. So essentially we predominantly do conveyancing. For those that don't know about conveyancing, that is essentially once an agent finds the buyer and seller, we then assist with the contract work, holding the deposit, and essentially managing the whole process so that there's a non-biased third party between the agents, the buyer, the seller, to manage the whole process.
And obviously, as a service company, why would people go to an external conveyancing company rather than actually use the real estate agents to do the conveyancing of their sale transaction?
I mean, the whole idea of having a conveyancer is to provide a third party, non-biased, somebody who's not looking out for the agent, someone who's not looking out for the buyer, the seller, the bank, the developer. In Dubai, we have a huge amount of different parties involved and everyone's looking after their own best interests. Our job is to make sure that whatever's agreed in the contract, that's what's followed. So essentially, we make sure that each step is completed properly. You know, nobody's paying people off or doing the wrong thing in order to get NOCs from developers. We're making sure the banks are doing the correct thing. That's primarily our goal. So just to make sure that at the end of a transaction, the buyer gets a clean and clear property.
It's very impartial advice. And would you say also that you have the better connections with maybe the developers, with the mortgage companies?
Yeah.
Do you have a little bit of...
Yeah, essentially. I mean, obviously doing 50, 60 deals a month, we have better contacts in banks, better contacts with developers. We know what to look out for in a deal. So a lot of agents use us to structure deals as well. So what happens is if you have a slightly more complex deal, we can assist with the knowledge that we have from doing it so many times to structure it and make sure that the proper processes and proper protections for the buyer and seller, and it just makes the deal go smoother. When somebody knows what steps are going to follow, knows the little catching points, that helps the deal go through more smoothly.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. Like, we're not here to hinder a deal, we're here to help it go smoothly and complete properly.
And how complicated are the deals at the moment?
So because of the market right now, they're quite complex. So obviously the sellers right now, everyone's trying to find the peak of the market. Everyone wants to sell at the top. So the sellers that are selling right now are definitely, you know, I had a phone call yesterday. A guy has a divorce case. He's been given the property. So essentially, you know, there's a lot that we need to go into about completing the divorce procedure and making sure that the property goes into his name. So these are the kind of deals that are in the market right now. They're not easy ones. Obviously, once we get a little bit higher in the market, I believe that a lot of other sellers will come into the market. But right now, the deals are not the easiest. Yeah, not the easiest ones, to say the least.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of company sellers and things like that in the market right now as well, which always, you know, if you don't know the company documents, if you don't do it on a daily basis, you know.
It's very easy, isn't it, just to miss one thing that just can delay.
One thing can mean someone's got to pay, like I had one company, they had to do $250,000 worth of company documents. So if you mess up one document, they have to reorder all of those again.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have somebody involved who understands what's needed. I used to manage one of the trustee offices as well a long time ago, so I kind of have a good understanding, and with my, all the deals that we do, I have a good knowledge of what the DOD is looking for.
Yeah, you can wear the different
Not just
hats.
me, but my team as well.
Yeah, I think us as real estate agents as well, we do one part of the job well, and we obviously do contract your services for our clients because of exactly what you've said.
Yeah.
There are a lot of, sorry.
As an agent, just on that, I don't know why an agent would want to do the administrative work. An agent is there to sell properties.
Yeah.
That's what you guys do best, and that's what you should be focusing on. Why would you do some of the cash deals are fast. They're 2 days, 3 days, yeah. But other deals where it's 3 months, 2 months of work, why would you spend all of that time doing the runaround? In my opinion, you could make a lot more money just by using someone like us to do that back end side of things.
Yeah, I think technically us as agents, we don't want to have that conflict. We want to get the deal across, and exactly what you said, our specialty is actually selling. We're not conveyancers, so to employ the experts, as you say, for everything you've actually discussed. In regards to current buyers in the market, there's been a huge influx of buyers from Europe.
Yep.
So they're in a little bit of a different boat where they're new to Dubai, they're not residents of Dubai. So what type of services, other than the sale transaction, do you offer? Maybe new people coming?
It's amazing right now what new blood is coming into Dubai. Yeah. I had one agent who sold out an entire development in 3 months, all Europeans. So there's a massive amount of Europeans coming over. I think coronavirus has played into the hands of the government very well. They've managed it very well. We've got good healthcare, stuff like that. So that, I believe, has made a lot of people say, let's come to Dubai and enjoy the sun, and that's good because it brings company setups that people buy property. Everything's good as far as that goes. But the Europeans, it's staggering how many are coming in right now.
They see a better lifestyle, don't they? They see, as you say, how the government's managed things, and it's a good place to be right now.
What we're helping a lot with right now is bank accounts are very difficult to open for a non-resident. So you have a chicken and egg situation where they want to buy a property here, but they can't bring the money in. So we can provide a service where we receive the funds. There's a lot that goes on with that. Obviously, we have to pass KYC and AML. There's a very strict process, and it's getting stricter as well, which I think is good as well because it brings more stability to the market. So the more stable the money is, and the less likely people are to put their money in, take it out of Dubai. It just creates a better market for us. They're in the real estate market, so it's all good. But so we can receive the funds as long as they pass those KYC and AML.
And that's a huge thing, because we got a lot of buyers, but it's how do they get their money across into Dubai, so you can actually take that.
Yeah, and then what we would do is kind of do a seamless process where we do the contract, we hold the deposit, they send it to our account, we issue all the manager's checks, we manage the whole process, so the conveyancing part of it. It gives them a little bit of peace of mind to know that someone's looking out for them. A lot of them don't come to the country to do this. Some of them just do a viewing through
virtual tours.
Through one of the portals, and then they send me the money. It gets purchased straight away, and I can help with visas as well. So
you act as power of attorney first.
Yes, So we would take power of attorney off them and then purchase the property and get them a visa if that's what they want as well. I think the visas as well are becoming a more needed thing, because once they have that visa, then they can open a bank account. And if they want to open a second property, not doing myself out of business, but they can then do it themselves. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation where first you need to buy the property, get the visa, and then you can open the bank account. And,
so it's so the A to Z. Tell us a little bit about the visas. What are the options?
So there's a lot of rumours flying around, but the main ones right now are the 3 and 5 year. The 3 year is a 1 million investment.
And is that 1 million cash finance, as in not cash, as in?
So you can get it with a mortgage, but you have to have put in 1 million of your own money. So if you're getting a mortgage, you have to put in 1 million of your own money.
Okay. So the property value would be a lot more on top.
Yeah. Also, there's little things that you need to do. You need to get permission from the bank, and obviously, if you've got a mortgage, you're probably a resident, and maybe you've lost your job, so you have to go to your bank and say to them, "I need to get an NOC." So it can be a little bit difficult getting those approvals from the bank. But yeah, definitely the most popular are the 3-year, the 5-year. The 5-year, they just dropped to 2 million dirhams. So it was 5 million, it's now 2 million dirhams, which is good as well.
Big difference.
And there's other ways as well. You can put investments into fixed deposits. In my opinion, that's not really smart because you don't get any interest off the fixed deposits. You're better off buying a 1 million dirham property and having some form of income from that.
Yeah.
But you can go the fixed deposit. I haven't really done that many of them though because it's dead money essentially.
Are you finding most of the clients from Europe are going this route, exactly this, where they're asking then for visas related to their property, and that's for them to come to Dubai?
Yeah, a lot of people are coming here with the intention of just, I just want a small holiday house, and then, they're realizing Dubai is a great place to live and the beaches, and then suddenly they're buying another house and they're moving a lot of their operation here and they're starting a business. And I mean, every single week I have people who come here just to buy a holiday house, and they suddenly are saying, I'm also going to move my family here now, and so it's good.
I think it's great. They have an idea of Dubai. They come here. What we're finding is a lot of clients will say, this is what I'm looking to spend, this is my budget. And then when they actually start seeing the lifestyle and you start showing them around, that goes out the window. And they just want to buy that dream house, that family home where they can have everybody here. So it's good. And do you think things will get even busier once more restrictions open?
I think it can only get busier. We've got the Expo coming up, which hopefully with these new changes to the business laws, so essentially company setups now can be owned 100%. It's a very strict set of sectors that are doing it, mainly manufacturing and service industry. But with the 100% ownership, it means that hopefully these people that are coming in from Expo will retain some of those people, which is good for everyone, right? More houses to be sold, companies to be set up. So I think definitely for the next year foreseeable, it's going to be growing. But
good, that makes me happy. And the law you just mentioned there, the company setup law, so that just passed on the 1st of June. So what else do we know about that at the moment? It's actually implemented
they've
now.
announced on the 2nd, they announced the sectors. It's a very specific set of sectors. Like I said, mainly service, manufacturing industries. There's a paid up share capital as well, so it looks like you're going to have to pay up a specific amount of share capital.
That amount's not known yet?
No, they've already announced the amounts. It ranges from 5 million dirhams up to 100 million dirhams. Obviously those 100 million dirhams are large, manufacturing sectors and finance related sectors. But when you compare the paid up share capital to paying tax or something like that in Europe, it's a small price to pay. For a 100% owned property, 100% owned company, in the Dubai Economic Department free zone, not a free zone, I should say. So in the Dubai Economic Department, I believe that it'll bring a lot of investment to Dubai.
Great. So you see more companies move into Dubai as well as obviously more investors and residents.
So we do a lot of, as well as the Dubai Economic Department setups, we do a lot of the free zone setups. Predominantly because of what we do in the real estate industry, we're setting up companies for holding real estate. And the two most popular for those is the JAFSA offshore and the RAC ICC offshore. But you can buy property in any Dubai-based company. The reality is if you're just buying it to hold real estate, you're probably not going to go a DMCC because it's a little bit more expensive and it's more set up for, an actual running business. Rather than with these free zone offshores, they're set up as holding companies essentially. So
property.
Lower setup costs, lower administrative stuff throughout the process, throughout the year of,
If it's not actually a operating company, and as you say, it's more of a holding company for real estate, So what's the benefit of people actually setting up a JAFSA?
I mean, JAFSA and RAC ICC, they're much the same, in all honesty. It's all about the lower administrative work. So some free zones you have to do audits, you might have to provide marketing plans and business plans and things like that when you're opening the company. Other free zones you have to have an office space. These offshores are literally just shell companies set up to hold real estate. You don't have to have an office. You don't get a visa with these. So they're literally just shell companies. So they're ideal for holding real estate, basically.
And why are investors doing that rather than buying it in personal names? Why is it better?
It used to be more around the Sharia law. So if you hold real estate in a company name, the courts will look at immovable assets and movable assets differently. So if the property is in a company name, the shares might be easier to move around. Okay. With the launch of wills, so DIFC has a will and Dubai Courts has always had a will, but with these wills now, which provides a lot of protection for expats, non-Muslims, it's becoming less and less used. The company setups are, definitely a lot less used.
So in your job, in your role, very fast, very furious, dealing with lots of investors, lots of service related. So what are you finding are the main challenges other than time, which we never have enough of?
Yeah, I think definitely the main challenge would be, individuals. So the people within a transaction, like I said, everybody's looking out for their own interests. So us as a middle non-biased party, we're quite lucky because the buyer tells us a little bit more information that they maybe wouldn't tell you. The seller tells us a little bit more information. The bank will give us the inside on what's going on and what's being delayed. So having us involved means that we have more information than most agents would if you were doing the deal. And essentially that is the hardest thing. Managing all of the people and bringing them together to kind of move them towards the end path, which is the final transfer.
Yeah, there's lots of layers to it, and you want to kind of manage it
it's
all.
It's like herding cats sometimes. But the developers and the banks, so there's 27 different banks in the UAE which have mortgages, right? So each one of those banks have their own policies, their own processes. So, learning each one of those processes, each one of those policies, there's hundreds of developers as well which have their own processes and policies. With this app, hopefully it will streamline some of the NOC process.
What's the app?
So the Dubai Arrest app, now you can order an NOC, a resale NOC on the app. Okay. So once you've done your Form A, your Form B, your Form F, you can then, the seller can then request an NOC on the property as well. Those are currently only working on the properties which service charges are paid through MOLAC, which is the government service charges system. But that's in its infant stages at the moment. But we're working towards those processes where hopefully, in a year's time, all NOCs will be done through that, which will hopefully streamline that developer process. But that's the biggest headache, learning all those different banks, developers, processes, things like that.
Consistent.
They change every day. So even with us doing 50 or 60 deals a month, we still get surprised sometimes. So I would hate to be an agent who does, even the best agents do 4 or 5 deals a month.
Yeah, it's different banks as well. You're not using the same bank system. So you mentioned there about the REST app and the MOLAC system. So do you work quite closely with the government in these processes?
Generally, we try and everyone in the industry does an addendum. So we would do an addendum to the Form F. We always encourage, obviously, the agents need to do their own Form A and Form B and the Form F through the app. It has its own problems sometimes. So what we usually do is we try and set up the addendum first. We get that signed up so that we have some time to get all of those forms done if there's any issues or anything like that. But yeah, we definitely encourage people to use that because it is the way forward.
Make it streamlined, make it on
an app. It's going to make everybody's life
efficient.
So much easier.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for buyers and sellers out there that you say, watch out for this, that you think you need to know this?
Yeah, I think definitely 3 tips that I would provide would be: take your time, don't rush into a purchase, make sure that you look around, you do inspections, you make sure that you understand the deal, the process. The market right now is a seller's market, so it's a fast-paced market, so don't take too long.
So you can't look around too long.
It's a bit of a weird one where you have to find a happy medium between taking your time and making sure you get deals done quickly. The next thing I would say would be ask questions about if there's any risks inherited. Companies like ours, we're there to put in place steps to make sure that if there is a risk, for instance, paying out a seller's mortgage, what happens is the buyer has to use their own funds to clear the seller's mortgage. So we make sure that blocks and other processes which the government has provided are put in place. So ask questions about, are there any risks? Is there something that I need to understand? If you're a mortgage buyer, make sure certain terms are put in there about if you don't get your mortgage offer letter that you can pull out without penalty. Make sure that now with Dubai's real estate becoming a little bit older, I think something that's not talked about a huge amount is the surveys and the other things like that. I think in the next few years we're going to have to start to look at that a bit more.
How many people do surveys on their properties? It's not a huge thing.
Under
in Dubai.
0.5%.
Half a percent.
Yeah.
Not even
nobody,
50%. Half a percent.
Nobody
Why
does
is
surveys.
that?
I mean, Dubai, it's still a new real estate industry, isn't it? So most properties are quite new.
Still have that 10-year building.
Yeah. So I think we're getting past that area with areas like Arabian Ranches and Jumeirah Golf Estates and other areas like that.
They are older.
They're getting older. So I think another point is, if it is an older property, maybe get a professional to go in and have a look through it. I know that there's companies out there who are doing a more, rather than looking at, so they're looking at the structural issues, making sure there's no structural issues or anything like that. But I think that's another hint which I think people don't really consider here, because the market moves so quick and things happen so quickly. But I think it's something that probably the industry needs to talk about.
You think it might actually be seen to where it'll be written in contracts subject to a surveyor's report?
Yeah, again, it's a tough one, because quite often the sellers will want you to do that before they sign a contract. So we're still working out how to stick that into the process.
That process. It's just a maturing market, isn't it?
But again, it is becoming more and more used. Like 5 years ago, nobody did one. Now I'm starting to see a few of them come through. But
is that because of the European investors, and that's what they do in their own countries?
Maybe,
so we're getting influenced?
Yeah, it might be because that's a standard process in Europe. You would have a surveyor come through and look at everything. The banks obviously do their own valuations, but I think probably a little bit more needs to be done on the structural side of things, and finding out whether or not this wall has an NOC to be put up, things like that.
You mentioned before there about valuations and banks. Are we seeing a bit of disruption? Are we seeing prices that are being sold and valuations coming in?
No, generally at the moment the banks are pretty good with valuations. Okay. Yeah. I haven't had many come back under. So I think obviously the market's going up, which is. And
they're going up with it. The banks are moving in time
at the moment.
That?
Good. Yeah. So haven't had many come back under at all. I think in the turn, right where the market was going from down to up, that's where we were having a few issues. But in the last 6 months, not really any issues.
That's good. So Tristan, we're always very busy. We don't have a lot of time. We have to do jobs we're passionate about. So tell me, what do you like most about what you do?
The main thing would be dealing with people. So it's meeting new people, meeting sheikhs, meeting sports personalities, meeting famous people, interesting people that we come across. Dubai is a great cooking pot of interesting people, let's just say that, coming here. So definitely that's the main thing. And then obviously the fact that we're helping people buy a property or sell a property, and just you know, especially if it's a difficult deal, at the end everyone's happy. I mean, you got to realize that we're helping people buy a property, right? So it's one of the happiest times of someone's life. So that brings a lot of joy as well. You know what I mean?
Nothing worthwhile is easy in
Yeah,
some
I don't get time usually to revel in it. It's usually right next one straight away. But I have a short period of happiness, and you know, happy that someone's bought a property.
Yeah,
and,
you know,
yeah.
it's the same as us with real estate people, and matching them with the property and helping people realize dreams. So we do it for the same reasons.
Yeah, sounds corny, but
No, we can be corny.
but it is.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Great having you.
Pleasure.
And hope
Hopefully it wasn't too boring.
Hope you'll come and do it again with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Tristan.
Done.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to Property Talk from Louise's Lounge. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and if you have any comments or suggestions or feedback that you'd like to hear on future episodes, please do get in touch. Thank you again. See you soon.